Hello and welcome to Norwich Talk. I'm Samuel Seaman and this is my review of Norwich City's 0-0 draw with Middlesbrough. So it was a game where there's a lot to talk about, but neither of it really in either box. The referee managed to make a spectacle of himself and some old-style Neil Warnock tactics really paid off for Middlesbrough. The main turning point was Emi Buendia's red card for a second yellow, which I've seen sort of split opinion on in the Norwich fan base. A lot blaming Emi for sliding in, having already been on a yellow. The first yellow was justified, by the way, and of Buendia's own doing, so you can't really complain about that. But the second one, he slid in, which admittedly wasn't a good course of action to take, but he slid in and pulled out basically way before the ball was gone, and it really was not a dangerous challenge in the slightest. I've seen some stills actually looking back that the Middlesbrough player looked much more aggressive in his approach to the tackle and much more dangerous than what Emi was when he made that tackle. So I'm probably in a bit of, I'm sitting on the fence here a little bit, but I have to say it probably wasn't very smart from Buendia, but I think it certainly was not a yellow card, and the referee really has been conned, I suppose, by Middlesbrough, who managed to sort of see out the game in that way. That sort of typified their approach. They were so concentrated on nullifying Norwich, and they didn't really create many opportunities. I think they had 3 shots on target, but none of them threatened Krul. I think all 3 were caught. But they just focused so much on nullifying our threat. Probably the most obvious tactical pattern of the game was Darnell Fisher's man marking of Todd Cantwell. He was supposed to be at right back, but given how much possession we had in the game, especially before Cantwell went off, he basically ended up playing sort of centre mid, because whenever Todd would drift inside or over to the right, as he often does, Darnell Fisher followed him all the way there for most of the game. I think sort of early in the second half, or midway through the second half, that responsibility started to get passed on a bit, because I think Darnell Fisher, who's just recently signed for Middlesbrough, hadn't been playing a lot of games for his old club Preston, so his match fitness might not have been such that he could follow a sort of lively player like Cantwell around for the whole game. But yeah, it was just that typified their approach, and they were physical and defensive. Not that they didn't really sit in as much as other teams have, like Wickham did at Carrow Road earlier in the season and Birmingham, but they were definitely defensive and aggressive in their approach, man marking almost every player, all the way up to Ben Gibson. Actually, I noticed that in the first half. I think they were happy to let Hanley have the ball, who can, he's decent in possession, but I think Gibson is our biggest weapon in playing the ball out from the back, because he can drive forward and see those passes and progress the ball really well. We tried to use new signing Yannick Bolasie to aid this counter-attacking approach. He started up front, but he was only really able to play sort of 60 minutes at full capacity, given I don't think he's played a single game so far this season. But obviously a player of high calibre, and you can see why they introduced him straight away, and he does complement that approach. Obviously a lot of pace, wanting to go at defenders and go one-on-one, which ended up happening quite a lot as the game opened up towards the end of it. Unfortunately, Bolasie couldn't last all the way till then. I was surprised that he started, not only because of the lack of game time he's had this season, but I think he would have been best served, red card or not, coming on when other players are sort of tired with the last 20 minutes, half an hour. And I think he would have been really effective in that period had he been on the sort of form that he was at the start of the match. Obviously, he got substituted quite early, so he wasn't able to play in that period, but I think that was maybe tactically the only thing that Neil Warnock got wrong. In terms of where it didn't work for Norwich, I think taking our chances in the first few minutes, I think Mario Vrancic had a couple of decent opportunities. Credit is due, because he created those opportunities for himself, but there was one particular one where he ran into the box, past a few players, absolutely excellent, elegant, and showed that dynamism which I think quite a lot of people, including myself, have questioned whether he possesses. He got into the box, and it was quite a similar opportunity to, I don't know how many people remember his goal against Tottenham at Carrow Road last season. It was overshadowed by that famous or infamous ruling out of Teemu Pukki's second goal by sort of a toenail's width of offside, but it was a similar opportunity to that, but I think he might have just been sort of out of puff, and there was a lot of pressure on him, and he dragged it wide with his right foot. He also had another shot with his right foot, which he angled just over the bar from the edge of the box. Excellent movement from Lucas Rupp created that opportunity for him. The credit went to Teemu Pukki in the commentary, and it was good movement from him, but mainly Rupp took the defender away to open up that space on the edge of the box, and On the subject of Lucas Rupp, I thought he was really good, and it was a good return to the team for him. Especially at the start of the game, he was that tempo setter for Norwich, and he was calm and composed on the ball. And I did worry, given how much time he's been out with injury, I worried if he would revert to that sort of Premier League Rupp, where he looks a bit panicked on the ball and a bit under pressure. But he didn't. He was comfortable, and he tried to do things with the ball, and his movement off the ball really helped, like in that situation I just described with Vrancic. And yeah, I thought he was really good, but probably my man of the match on the day for Norwich was his midfield partner, Oliver Skipp. Skipp was tenacious and hard-working and really provided solidity for Norwich, and he burst forward a couple of times, and I think that's maybe the only area of his game that he needs to improve to get on a par with the rest of his performances, his productivity in the final third and his decision-making and his quality. But apart from that, he basically showed off every aspect of what makes him so good for Norwich this season. Calm on the ball most of the time, just gives it to players who are more creative and are more responsible for that side of things. Off the ball, times challenges absolutely perfectly, and he's just so committed to doing the right thing for the team. I remember one time Middlesbrough were on a counter-attack, looked quite dangerous, had the ball down the left, perfectly timed tackle by Skipp. He was on the floor, so if he hadn't timed that right, it would have been either probably a yellow card and a sort of semi-dangerous free kick for Middlesbrough, or he would have been taken out of the play and the counter-attack would have been even more dangerous. So it was crucial, and he timed it right. And in those big moments when a lot of people are panicking and as a Norwich fan your heart is sort of pulsing and you're worrying, he's perfect for that, and he's calm, and he always makes the right decision. I don't think Teemu Pukki was as involved as you would have liked him to be. I think quite a lot of us, even given Jordan Hugill's recent good form, were quite excited to see him return to the team, but he just wasn't really that involved, wasn't his sort of game. He's not that good with his back to goal, and when he tried to let the ball go in behind, Middlesbrough centre-backs were excellent today. I thought actually Fry especially was really good, and they nullified Pukki as a threat. So with Cantwell, Buendia and Pukki sort of nullified, especially Cantwell and Pukki in my opinion, Norwich just looked a bit toothless after the first sort of 15-20 minutes when Mario Vrancic was really making a difference to the team. In terms of substitutions, Farke was sort of forced into the ones that he made. I was surprised he didn't bring on any sort of defensive reinforcement when we went a man down, but he did change the attacking approach quite a lot when that happened. Brought on Shemek Poheta and Ono Hernandez quite quickly after Buendia was dismissed. They obviously were going for almost doing a Middlesbrough when that red card happened, because they went with pace on the wings to try and cause damage on the counter-attack. Unfortunately, I don't think Poheta really has the positional sense to be able to do that yet. He still wants to take the ball deep and come inside, which is so strange playing on his natural side. And one burst from Ono Hernandez would have got him into a really advanced attacking position, and it was excellent work from him, but quite professional work from Johnny Howson, who, by the way, I thought was excellent for Middlesbrough. Got 3 interceptions high up the pitch for them, and maybe should have scored late on, or at least created a decent opportunity for his teammates. I think the tactical approach, once we went down to 10 men, just it made sense, and I think it was probably right. They also brought on Adamida for Teemu Pukki after about 86 minutes. But I just don't think Norwich are well versed enough in that sort of game to be able to execute it, especially with sort of 10-20 minutes left. Shemek Poheta really did not go at the fullback as much as you would have liked. Had a couple of decent moments, flashed one across the box when Cantwell was racing through, but it was far ahead of him, so it was maybe the right decision, but the execution should have been a bit better, which was strange to see actually, because I think Poheta, when he makes the right decision, generally seems to be able to execute it, and he seems to be a player with a lot of ability, but he didn't do that there. It's asking a lot to have this squad of players who are so specifically trained to play in one way. They've already adapted to play with Jordan Hugill in the last few games. To ask him to adapt again to now play in a pacey counter-attacking system is quite a big ask, and I just don't think we really provided any sort of threat in the last hour of the game really, but especially after Buendia went off. I don't want to take anything away from Middlesbrough, because I thought they were excellent today, to be fair. The tactical setup was spot on, and their players executed it really, really well. But I do think it's a shame to see the sorts of things that we saw surrounding the red card. I don't think Norwich would ever do that, or we haven't seen them do that ever, where they've specifically tried to get a player sent off, and you could really tell that cynicism As soon as that challenge went in, you knew Middlesbrough were going to be shouting and getting on the referee's back about it, and there's no doubt they significantly influenced him into that decision. I don't think against another team who were maybe more positive or more, I don't want to say more fair with their approach, because everything is fair in football, as long as it's within the laws, and it's within the laws to shout and scream when you get fouled. So, it was the right approach. They nullified us throughout the game, and then as it opened up towards the end, they nullified us by taking our best player out of it. So it worked for them, but I think, it makes you proud to support a club where you really feel that they go about playing football in the right way. And I don't think Daniel Farke would ever concentrate his pre-match analysis or preparation in focusing on getting another player sent off, and not even really nullifying another team. I think our approach focuses on how we can play well and how we can impose ourselves on the game. And that usually means entertaining football for us as fans. It wasn't very entertaining today, so a shame really, but a point is better than nothing, especially with the red card situation. Millwall is now going to be difficult in the week without Emi Buendia, but I'm sure Kieran Dow will see this as an opportunity to step up, and there's a couple of other players who would have a claim. So I'll see you then. Hopefully this didn't make you too angry, although it did get my blood boiling a little bit. Thank you for watching. For more great Norwich City content, head over to norwichcity.myfootballwriter.com.